Now I feel like I'm ready to talk about Gilmore Girls. This is my first time watching Gilmore Girls. I've never watched Gilmore Girls before. Of course I've heard of it. It's iconic. It's one of the most iconic teen dramas ever. Um, I think growing up, of course, I could recognize them. I could recognize Lauren Graham and Alexis Bledel and what they were known for. Of course. I just, believe it or not, I wasn't the target audience for this show when it was on. So this is a pure first time watch. This isn't like when I did One Tree Hill and I'm like, I remember some stuff, or The OC, where I definitely watched a few seasons, or Veronica Mars, where I've watched the episodes a million times. This is completely new to me. I I'm kind of thrilled because the creator, the showrunner, Amy Sherman Palladino, is clearly a genius, and she is not afraid to fully demonstrate her brilliance in the first season of Gilmore Girls. It's really good. It's really good. It's one of the most charming pieces of television, one of the most charming pieces of narrative um cinema. I mean, narrative fucking visual storytelling. What am I even trying to say? It's just such a charming program. It is such a charming tale, and the narrative is really lovely, and these characters are wonderful. And Palladino's writing is off the charts, incredibly witty, super sardonic, hyper acerbic, cutting, and also tender and sensitive. There's a lot of great writing here. So, maybe first we'll start talking about Stars Hollow, because while this is definitely an iconic show from the era that I'm most like discussing and waxing poetic over, uh, it's also steeped not in fantasy, but in the screwball languages of the 30s and 40s, to be honest, which is fascinating because they have that whole episode about Donna Reed, and they kind of deconstruct that notion while at the same they simultaneously celebrate the tropes and the trappings of screwball like filmic languages. They celebrate them while at the same time they lampoon them. It's a deconstruction and hopefully building towards a new sincerity, which this show does pretty effortlessly within the parameters of screwball screen grammar. It's really cool. The fictional town of Stars Hollow can feel like a fantasy at times, and it is like so picturesque. It can be like nauseating, but you have to remember this is like easy living. This is Jean Arthur. This is Catherine Hepburn. This is Frank Capra in quite a few respects. This is Carol Lombard. This is Claudette Colbert. Amy Sherman Palladino is clearly an expert on screwball philosophy. And I think she heightens and elevates it within Gilmore Girls. Like I said, Stars Hollow is a fictional town within Connecticut, but each of its characters are, well, I mean, they're truly characters. They are unique. They are silly. They are goofy. They are funny. They're overwhelmed with emotion, overwhelmed within the moment. They have those weird little uh, idiosyncratic quirks to all of them. They can feel a bit nauseating to someone who's not ready for a kind of experimentation or study into like screwball dynamics and how those have kind of changed within a postmodern context. Amy Sherman Palladino is yes, she's a genius for sure. Of course, I think at the heart of Gilmore Girls, this doesn't take any analysis. It's about a mother and a daughter who are more like best friends than they are like mothers and daughters, or they're just like trying to bring that sort of dynamic of archetypes into a new sincerity where you know it's just about the relationship between a mother and daughter. What interests me the most is the town of Stars Hollow. Are all of these characters, and are the ways that they both fit in a relaxed manner into the tropes of screwball writing, while at the same time they're deconstructing those same tropes, and they're acting as a wrecking ball to certain tropes, and then certain tropes must remain because certain tropes are sincere, but within a new postmodern context, Gilmore Girls reaches a new sincerity, which is very, very fun to see. Lauren Graham and Alexis Bledel are both phenomenal on the show. Incredible chemistry, incredible line deliveries. Lauren Graham in particular is very impressive to me. And since this is my first time watching it, I'm watching it from like her perspective. I'm far closer to her age. She might have been my age when she was making this show, if not like maybe a few years older than me. So actually, obviously, clearly, I think that Luke is the coolest dude in the whole show, and I want them to get together so fucking bad. I want Max Medina to fucking disappear and never show his ugly, greasy face again because Luke is a true Prince Charming in a town that certainly needs a new one. But Lauren Graham is so incredible, and yeah, I'm relating most to her character. And I've talked to subscribers, to viewers, to randos at the bar, and this show gets brought up, and it's a hot and cold show, right? People are extremely into it, and they think it's the best thing ever written, and it repaired their friendship with their mother. You know, like it's a huge kind of um like adoration that fans of the show feel for Gilmore Girls. And then on the other hand, you don't really have people who hate the show, but it's triggering for a lot of people. I've had a lot of girls tell me that they want to like it, they wish they could like it, but they have the worst relationship with their own mother, and it's like a triggering experience putting the show on because you do have to accept that premise. You absolutely have to accept the premise to Gilmore Girls of this is about the all of the complexities of the dynamics between a mother and a daughter in the postmodern age while adhering to a sort of screwball kind of fantasy language writing style and compositional style for sure. This is some of the best screwball composition I've ever seen, but I'll get there in a minute or two. But yeah, a lot of people have trouble with this show because they don't have a good relationship with their own mother or whatever. And me personally, I mean, clearly, I'm not a daughter, nor am I a mother. And speaking as a son who had a terrible relationship with his drug addicted and completely selfish mother, who is now dead, I never had a good relationship there. I don't have a good relationship with my family. I just like Luke's kind of like loner resolve and his obvious and kind of dorky affection that he shows for Lorelai in particular. I find that really like relatable for sure. But when I'm watching it from Lorelai's perspective, it's not necessarily like a relationship I had with my parents because luckily I'm watching this show as a 32-year-old man. I'm thinking about maybe I'll have a daughter one day and maybe maybe this show can help me in certain ways that unprepared for, perhaps. I don't know. I'm just saying that's not a make or break deal. Yes, you have to accept that premise. If you do not accept that premise, you cannot watch Gilmore Girls in an honest and genuine way. And that's no fault of your own. Relationships with parents can be the most traumatic things in the world, or as Gilmore Girls is trying to posit desperately, they could be the best relationships you have in your life. Um, And there is something charming to that. And there is something that is pretty wholesome in that idea. This season is pretty fucking wholesome. It really is. I stayed away from it for a while. I'm gonna be completely honest. I stayed away from it for a while, not because of the whole idea that you have to buy that premise of mother-daughter, like it's the best relationship in the world, ho honky dory, so happy. It's not because of that. Um, you Gilmore Girls fucking stands can get buck fucking wild on social media, and I didn't want anything to do with any of you, and I still don't. Okay, you guys can get crazy, crazy, and since you're all brought up on Gilmore Girls, you're all so clever. So I don't want to get into any verbal jousting, sparring matches with you guys because, yeah, y'all learned from the best on how to be really, 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 really mean in a very clever way that makes it impossible for me to hate you and I have to admire you even though I'm seething. Gilmore Girls fans are crazy. But so I go to analyze the OC. And fucking Adam Brody's there, and then I hear Adam Brody's on the show. And then, of course, what won me over completely was the idea that is your teen drama even real if Chad Michael Murray's not there? We had Charlie Todd in Dawson's Creek. We had Edgar Evernever in Riverdale. Of course, we had the patron saint, Lucas Scott, on One Tree Hill. And now I have Tristan Dugray. Yeah, on a whim, I put on the first two episodes, and I had no idea that Chad just shows up in episode two. It's interesting. He acts just like he did, like his personification, his characterization, his performance is remarkably similar to that alternate universe episode of One Tree Hill from the first season, where Lucas was the fortunate son and Nathan was the punished one. He's acting just like rich version of Lucas did. Like he is such a douchebag. He makes me giggle like a fucking schoolgirl whenever he shows up. Tristan is such a jerk and I love him so much. And I think you can tell this is for his first real performance after modeling because man, he smolders constantly. He's always like, "Oh yeah? I'm not blessed in the same sorts of ways that Chad Michael Murray was." But Tristan Dugray, yes, that is a Hall of Fame douchebag character. And I'm so happy that Chad played him. And there was tenderness and there was sensitivity to the role, like when he was breaking up with Summer and Alexis was had broken up with Dean, and he kissed her at that party in front of the piano. That's a really sensitive moment, and I think there's actually more chemistry there than in any scene that Alexis Bledel had or shared with Jared Padalecki. I do like that kid. I do like Jared Padalecki, but there's a lot more tension between Tristan and Rory than there was with Dean and Rory. That's just my opinion. I think that's what makes the scenes work so well. I was rooting for Tristan. I honestly was, mostly because I'm a huge Chad Michael Murray fan and I just want to see more of him. My favorite characters this season, yes, I love Lorelai a lot, and I love Luke so fucking much. But I loved every time Paris showed up. Paris is such a cool character. I love that actor. She has a great sensitivity about her, and it's a morbid sensitivity that you can't trust because it's unpredictable, it's kind of chaotic, and then it's really limited. Like there is a tragedy to Paris's character, and I'm not able to really pinpoint it just yet, but I'm sure I will soon. I think there's a lot to explore within this new Paris archetype. I think she's a really cool girl, and I want to see her a lot more. I think there's so much to explore there because you get notions of self-hate. You get hints of um an extreme teenage loneliness to her that feels really palpable. You get like being drowned, smothered by expectations. I liked Paris a lot. Paris might have been my favorite character because I was always very entertained whenever she was on screen. I was like, she is just so much fun to watch. And the actor Liza W- Whale, it's thundering here. I don't know if you heard that, but I don't think I'm allowed to ever say her name again because I butcher it. I'll take that as a sign. I just thought that Paris was fascinating and a really interesting deconstruction of like the rich private school student. Same with Tristan and same with Harris's two droogies. I loved them too. I like the stuff at Chilton the most, and I didn't care for not even the show care to juxtapose the two different kinds of extreme modes of living lifestyles, right? Because it's not like when we're with Lane, we're reminded that she's poor because she's clearly not. And it's not as if they keep talking about how rich Lorelai's parents are, like ceaselessly. It's not really dedicated to dramatically juxtaposing these different lifestyles or really investigating the clear class stratification that definitely exists in Connecticut and Hartford and in Stars Hollow. It's not too interested in that because it has to. Well, there are like hints, there are subtle critiques, there are nuanced criticisms of this class disparity, but it has to be done within the screwball frameworks. It has to be done within a screwball framework. And in order to to make these colorful social commentaries within screwball frameworks, it has to be charming through and through. There has to be a sort of sensitivity, but there has to be an adorable clumsiness, or it's an adorable sensitivity. That's how you keep it within screwball parameters. That's how you keep the screen rhetoric pure. Because this is a pure screwball television show. It's just that Amy Sherman Palladino was a genius and possibly still is. I don't know. She was definitely a genius while writing this first season of Gilmore Girls because she's able to transpose pure screwball framework into a postmodern one, like in the year 2000. And by having these dynamic, developed by time, like characters within screwball frameworks, you're able to really interact and engage with genre tropes in ways that I've never personally seen before, but they feel completely sincere, completely adorable, and inspiring. I think that's what makes Gilmore Girls so interesting. I found the stuff at Chilton to be the most like exciting to me. I am a sucker for teen drama. I think teen drama is the best, and these private school kids are really well written. I think they're really well fleshed out, interestingly composed and portrayed by both the actors, the writers, and the filmmakers. I love the Chilton stuff. I like seeing these ultra privileged kids interact with each other. I think it's phenomenal to see. Speaking of composition, the scene composition is kind of extraordinary. I'm going to show a few shots here from the finale. There's a perfect, adorable symmetry to every great scene, to every like cultural marker scene, to every huge and important part of the plot. And I have read that Amy Sherman Palladino loves to do a master shot. Like that's kind of what she's known for when it comes to her visual composition, where she gets every huge piece of the drama like in one fluid motion, not necessarily in like in the same like take. And there's multiple camera setups, but that affords a sort of tableau that isn't normally available in not only television but teen drama. And it's a sort of tableau that was certainly available when we come to when we talk about the classic screwball comedies. I think in order to be like fully involved in the sorts of things that Gilmore Girls is experimenting with and investigating, like I see the devil in Miss Jones here. I see my man Godfrey. I see history is made at night. I see it happened one night. And I definitely see easy living. Um, I get some notes of Mitchell Lyson, or at least of easy living, quite a few times. This kind of vibe. It's really cool. So I guess what does it mean to bring Screwball into the year 2000? What does that mean? Great question. I think it's a hopeful sort of deconstructionist quality. I think more than anything, Gilmore Girls is not only hopeful, but it's inspiring. And I think it's aiming to be both of those things, and maybe not in the ways that we expect. We expect things like those to be, you know? I think that Gilmore Girls is really trying to communicate a lot, and it's communicating it through the cinematic framework of screwball comedies. And I think it's working on me. This first season, if we're talking about themes, we're obviously talking about parenthood. We're obviously talking about maturity for all parties. We're talking about coming to grips with love, or actually realizing what love means. Because Lorelai is a very stubborn character and an extremely forgetful one. And her daughter is extremely defensive and unprepared, insecure. But they both know what it means. They really do. They can't articulate it or they can't vocalize it necessarily because there is a fear, and it's a fear of vulnerability because they've only needed each other. They've only needed each other. They don't need anyone else until they do. Maybe other people need them. and maybe that's okay. I think that Gilmore Girls season one is very well plotted, very perfectly written, to be honest. That I see a lot of Palladino, of Amy Sherman Palladino's genius. I think I see it most in the scene composition and in the way that the season as a whole is designed. Because I think that the episodes are really well paced and structured, but as a whole, as all 21 episodes of the first season, the design is basically as flawless as something like this could have ever been, which is to say that it is fucking immaculate. Uh, it's a work of craftsmanship that you don't see often. There is a genius hand moving this narrative along and pushing these characters gently into the areas that we, as the audience, want to see them in because we want to investigate certain things about our lives through the safety of screwball comedy. And maybe that's it. It's like through comfort. It's through the reliability of standard tropes. It's through being able to revisit something that does feel safe in a fantastical sort of way, in an innocent sort of way, in a picturesque and idealized sort of way, like Stars Hollow um, as the perfect screwball town kind of ideal. It's through revisiting those kinds of safe vestiges of cinema, of television, and placing current woes, current problems, new words for old desires placed within some place like Stars Hollow. You're able to actually investigate certain things within your own life from the safety of the screwball framework. And then that screwball framework can do you a lot of favors by helping you understand its narrative and cinematic potential. And Gilmore Girls is doing this in quite a phenomenal way. I do very, very much so like the show. I hope it doesn't get boring because I definitely see this show having a chance of getting boring. We're talking about 7 seasons and a limited series. We're talking about a lot of time with these characters, and they're gonna have to go to some dark places. They're gonna have to be intense. They're gonna have to drop the screwball act eventually as it forms into something else. But I have a lot of faith in Amy Sherman Palladino. I don't know what it's forming into, but I'm loving seeing it come together. I don't know where Gilmore Girls is taking me, but right now I'm very excited. And I think it's helping me. I'm able to be like, you do have these desires. You have a fire inside of you. Don't be afraid to fucking share it. Shit like that doesn't really go out. Everything can be lit again. Some of the more fantastical screwball elements can be legitimately nauseating of like, oh wow, everybody like it parts of it feel a bit too contrived, but I feel like that contrived nature speaks to the tone of the piece because things do feel theatrical and screwball comedy is one of the most theatrical and like performative modes of storytelling, and that is decidedly the form that Gilmore Girls is going for. So I'm more forgiving to that. I do want some more elements of danger within Stars Hollow. Dean is not like a bad boy. I want, and Tristan is a douchebag. I'm sure he's into some awful shit because he seems like he probably would be. Or maybe he's just a goofy rich kid with a good face who doesn't know how to act around women. Who knows? I want there to be a bit more danger, some sort of dangerous element that intrudes and invades on this idealized form of screwball modernity, of screwball comedy. I want something to come and kind of fuck it up. I want a wrecking ball character. I want a character who's just here to destroy. I don't know if Gilmore Girls is that kind of show, but I'm looking forward to it. I think that I know there's certain actors like Milo comes on and Adam Brody. I think those are people who definitely have the capacity to be a bit more intense, um, for sure. Chad definitely has that capability, that range within him, but I know that he left for Dawson's Creek by this point. So, oh well. At least I have Paris. We'll always have Paris. I love Paris. I want to see Paris a lot more because she was this unquantifiable quality that I loved engaging with. She's so cool. Great actor. I think I like the actor a lot. Her decisions through the performance in the first season was just a blast to experience. Really cool. Of course, I want Lorelai and Luke to get together. I appreciate the slow burn, though. I'm gonna cheer my fucking head off when they actually do kiss, whenever that is. Has to happen. Um, oh man, yeah. I knew it got me. I think in the episode before the finale, Luke's ex, who he carries a torch for pitifully, pathetically even, had come back and he's like finally starting to accept her, but she can tell that he likes Lorelai. And he's like, she's always leaving anyway. Rachel's always leaving. Don't trust her. And when he comes back early from a town meeting and she leaves from behind the counter carrying her bags, and the look on Luke's face, I, full grown man, was like, "Ugh, well, how do you like that? Wow. Huh. Mm-mm. I got fucking snotty little catty. So I'm definitely invested in this. I'm going to do a lot more work into studying what screwball comedy really represents in a postmodern context. Because I think we have a lot of substance there for future analysis videos. And thankfully, we have plenty more of them for Gilmore Girls. This is going to be a long haul, but I'm enjoying it right now. Season one, yeah. There is genius on full display. But next time I want to see beauty. I want to see something shocking. I think Gilmore Girls can do it. Thank you for watching. I've been your cult boyfriend, and have a phenomenal day. Now I have like Dean hair. No, I just can't win, dude. Thanks for watching me. Where you lead, I will follow. I'm not a fan of the theme song, actually. Just want to say that. Out of all the shows I've covered so far, I don't like this theme. I don't want to wait so much better. A long time ago, we used to be friends. Perfect. I don't want to be from One Tree Hill. Fucking banger. Um, California, Here We Come. All four of those, fucking phenomenal. This one, this song, I can't do it. I don't like this theme. It is so, it is so lame. But a great season of television, a great season. I just want season two to be about beauty and about shocking me and about intensity, but without losing any of its comic appeal. I want it to be funny and wanted to break my heart. Thank you. Bye.